Hi everyone, welcome back to Grow Roots. This is Shannon and welcome to my September 2024 container garden tour. And let me just add that everything is kind of tired, but I do have some new fall containers, which is really exciting, and I'm happy to show everything to you. But thanks for joining and come along. So I wanted to start off first. This is my 3-tier container, and this is included in my front garden tour, but it truly is a container and it's 3-tiered, and I think it's beautiful. So I include it in my container garden tour as well. And not too much going on with it right now. I have Super Bina Peachy Keen here on the bottom, but it's alive. It's just not thriving under there. This last couple weeks has been extremely hot again. So we've been in the high 90s. The heat index values have been up to 105, 108. And so it's fall tomorrow, first day of fall tomorrow, but it does not feel that way. It's 97 degrees today, and next week is cooling off, so hopefully we'll get these temps. And we had plants that were rebounding and doing so well, and then we had this hot weather, and now they're like, I'm so tired of this. So, and I am too. I'm sure you are too as gardeners. But anyway, Super Bina Peachy Keen down there. I'm hoping that when the weather cools off, it will start blooming again, and it'll be spectacular. I have Vinca here. Again, you can see some of these leaves are yellow. But it is blooming pretty well. And then this is interesting. Like, I got Bidens for free and I just popped them back here and they're doing okay. Obviously they're not going to bloom. They're too shaded back there. I have some Tradescantias arena cuttings that I popped back there too that are starting to take off. They're kind of cool. And then on this top tier, admittedly, I have things that I haven't even planted in here. They're just still in their containers. But I've been watering them consistently and waiting for cooler temperatures to actually get them planted in. But this is the Proven Winners Blue Days Evolvulus. It's, what is it? Blew My Mind Evolvulus, and it's starting to flower and really kind of take off. So it's doing well. I have Pentas that stopped blooming but look like they're going to give me some blooms there. And then I have a mystery plant here. Could be something like Diamond Frost Euphorbia, although I didn't get it in a Proven Winners container. And it also has this pink tone to the leaves. One of you had suggested that the pink tone in the leaves is some type of nutrient deficiency, which very well could be, but I kind of like it. It's just kind of this cool little pop of little tiny white flowers that are so dainty and so cute. But so that's what I don't know. It's cute. Euphorbia maybe, I don't know. So that is my 3-tier container. And then moving on over here, I have some cute little fall containers and some pumpkins that I picked up. Really happy with the way things look. Hopefully the lighting is okay for y'all. This is a little bit later than I usually like to do my garden tours, but had a lot of things going on this morning, so here we are. I want to point out this container right there is Supertunia bubblegum. The Supertunia bubblegum has lasted all season long. My only Supertunia to last this long. Well, I have a Supertunia lovey-dovey there, but this one has done the best by far. Of course, it's the bubblegum, and this hot weather started making it get crunchy again. If you can see, this area was green and now it's kind of dying off. It just doesn't like the 100-degree temperatures. It really, truly doesn't. But one thing that I discovered that helps this plant is banana water. I soak 1 banana peel in a half gallon of water, or 2 banana peels for a gallon, and then let that soak for 24 hours, and then I pour it on the plant, and it really helps these Supertunias green up. And I think that's what's helping this guy kind of move along. And I hate to take it out right now. It's pink. Which isn't exactly the fallest color, but I really love it, and I think I'm going to keep it there. I picked up an aster right there at Home Depot, and I plan on planting that in the landscape, but for now it's going to stay there in that cute little pot. I love this little like pumpkin, 3-tier pumpkin. I picked those specialty pumpkins up from Walmart and thought that they would be great. Honestly, Walmart's pumpkins are the cheapest that I have seen this year, at least in my area. So I got that for fairly inexpensive, honestly. I think I paid maybe $15 for that for all 3 of those pumpkins. So that's fantastic. I'm going to finish up with these and then I'm going to show you the Limelight Standard. But I also picked up some mums from Aldi or Aldi, however you like to pronounce that. They were, I think they were like $5 for these pretty big containers of mums. So I picked up 2 of those, and then there is another aster. Again, I'm going to plant asters into the landscape this year. They add a beautiful pop of color in the, oh, look at that. That is so precious. I love that color too. They look a lot like the mums, to be honest, just different leaf shape. But those are perennial here for us in Texas. I want to say, I looked at the tag, it goes down to -30. So those are super, super hardy plants. And then with this mum, I'm trying not to get my shadow for y'all, but this mum, again, from Aldi, and I just happen to have this cute little yellow and white container that I popped it in. And one little trick, if you're keeping mums in containers, these 2 containers that my mums are in do not have holes in the bottoms of them, and that's purposeful so that when I water them, it'll kind of soak up, you know, the water will stay at the bottom. Mums love water. It's very hard to keep mums in containers filled with enough water, especially in this 97-degree heat. Oh my goodness. But that will help. So they're sitting in about 1 inch of water right now, and throughout the day it will soak that up, and it'll really, really love that. So there you go. There's a little trick for mums. If you don't have, you know, a pot that doesn't have a hole in it, you could always just find a little, you know, tray to go underneath it, and that will help hold quite a bit of water if you get a really deep tray. So you could try that too. Hopefully you can see this, but this is my container. It has 1 Gerber daisy in this huge container, and the Gerber daisy was a bitty little baby at the beginning of spring. It was given to me by one of my sweet little daycare girls. Her name is Melody. Thank you so much, Melody, for this plant, because it has grown tremendously, and now it's got 3 different flowers on it for me, and it really loves this location on my porch. It's like a part sun location. Right now it's getting a little bit of late morning sun. And then I also planted, this is so funny, some Tradescantia zebrina cuttings. I just put a couple cuttings like way down in there when the plant was smaller, and now it's big and coming out of the plant, which I think is really, really fun. And then this container over here is, these are shade plants. Now, they do get a couple hours of morning sun, and it may be later morning sun than they actually like. But I'll probably be planting these into the landscape, potentially in my shade garden in the side yard. But they are doing pretty well right here. I've got leopard plant. This is giant leopard plant. This is like a spotted leopard plant. And then I don't know if it's going to survive, but I've got a Brunnera down there that is, now, okay, wait. Those aren't just mealy bugs on it now. Those are also, what, aphids? I don't know. This thing is just, I have been spraying, and it just keeps getting infested. So, I don't know if it's going to survive. And I'm surprised the other plants are actually doing okay. But I also have planted right here. It doesn't look like much. The stems are starting to get woody. Look at that. I have 2 different vines growing right here. And it's Blue Pickety Morning Glory and also Black-Eyed Susan. And look, I wish this translated on camera, y'all. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but they're finally starting to bloom. If you look right up there, it's so beautiful. And then the blue pickety morning glory is starting to bloom, and it just looks so amazing. I also have the same vines planted here, but they are planted in the ground and they are not blooming. We had a little bit of cooler weather that kind of triggered these guys into blooming for me on this side, and then with this hotter weather in this last week, they're kind of like, yeah. But this next week is supposed to be a lot cooler, so I really do think we're gonna see those vines completely covered in blooms, but we can also enjoy them from our porch as well. I hope that you can see that. There's all these little black-eyed Susans and morning glories right there. It's just beautiful. All right, so this container is basically all just a variegated English ivy. I love it so, so, so much. This is going to be evergreen in the wintertime. And man, it's just so beautiful. I built this little bamboo like topiary for it. And I need to pull up some of these stems and get them more like, you know, attached to those poles to the topiary. Like this really could use that, but it's so awesome. I love it, especially because it is evergreen, and I wish I haven't been super successful rooting these from cuttings. A couple of them maybe, but I wish I was more successful in rooting these cuttings, because I would love to just spread this all over to maybe all of my containers. I don't know, because I just love it so much. It's a beautiful spill factor and also a thrill factor if you use a topiary. So that's a beautiful container right there. And this is going to be in the full sun. I apologize. Like I said, I usually like to film this earlier, but I feel like you guys can see it well enough. This is a Limelight Standard hydrangea, and then underneath it is a Supertunia lovey-dovey, which, you know, it's alive, which I'm shocked at, but it's just not like super thriving, but it's still a beautiful little pop of petunia color. And I love those little white flowers with the pink stars in them. I have a little grasshopper that was given to me by my friend Stacy. Thank you so much. And then I have some lemon ball sedum cuttings that I just popped in there, and it's doing really well. So this container is actually in my garden. I'm not super certain I'm gonna keep that Limelight Standard there, which is why it's still in the container there, but for now I love it in this location so far, and it seems to be doing okay. I'm just worried it's too much sun on it. So yeah, you can see this is a fairly new bloom and it's doing well, but some of them are a little bit burnt, which 'tis the season, right? They're just, it's a tired plant. I told you a lot of these plants are very tired right now. Up here, some of my favorite containers. So this guy over here is my Endless Summer hydrangea. This is my oldest plant that I have alive in my garden, or you know, the oldest plant that I have, honestly. It's about, what did I say, 2011, May 2011. So it's 13 years old, and this is probably the most blooms that I've ever seen. I'm going to pop a picture on the screen of what it looked like earlier this season with the blue blooms that I was able to get. It was just stunning, and I think it's still stunning. I have left the blooms on because they're taking on this pinkish hue, especially towards the outsides, and then as we move into October and November, this will get darker and darker pink / maroon, and it's going to be absolutely lovely. So I love my Endless Summer hydrangea here on the porch. It is in a container. It does do very well. So love that plant. And then right next to it, it looks like it's the same plant. Well, it doesn't look like the same plant, but you know what I mean. They're growing into each other, and this is a variegated lace cap hydrangea. So last year, this guy, these leaves over here, they all completely fried, and it defoliated on this side last year because of how hot it was. It got close to doing that this year, but it still kind of held its own, and it still has lots of new growth, and the foliage itself is just spectacular. Look at those creams and light greens, and it's struggling. It's tired. It's a little bit burnt, especially on this side because this is where the morning sun comes into it. But and I have not seen it bloom yet. However, my experience with others that have this exact same plant, it takes about 4 or 5 years for this plant to bloom, and this is only its third year, I think. So I'm hoping maybe next year we'll get blooms. It's a lace cap hydrangea, so it's absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna move over here to this. I hope that y'all can see that. But this, oh, this Tradescantia Zebrina is absolutely gorgeous. I've not, honestly, never tried it in this location before. I had it last year on my porch, but it was 100% full shade and it didn't do well. This is very much like it gets at least 2 hours of morning sun, 1 to 2 hours of morning sun here, and it loves life. Look at how gorgeous it is. This is a pot that's on top of a plant stand, so that's how you get this topiary type of effect, or a 2-tier effect on it, because I have a pot up here on a plant stand that's inside this pot, which I love that idea. I got this plant stand for free, and so anyway, I think this whole container is absolutely beautiful with the English ivy at the bottom. And then I have dianthus planted in here. It actually is blooming, which is shocking. Dianthus is a cool season plant, and the fact that I've had sporadic blooms from it all throughout the season is just fantastic, and it will survive our winters as well. So just absolutely love that little pop of dianthus through the English ivy, and then the Tradescantia on top. Whew, love that one. And I have a container here that has tricolor sweet potato vine. I just love it because it has pinks and creams, and if y'all know me, like, you see several plants that are like this all throughout. It's just kind of my thing. But I have that, and then I have the Tradescantia Zebrina cuttings in here. I have a begonia in here that just has not done super well. And then this is not part of the container. It is the variegated lace cap hydrangea there. This is the part of my porch that I am the most excited about. I just recently picked up this plant stand that is, I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and it was only $50. I saw a similar one that was not rusted like this one is, but it was $250 on Facebook Marketplace, and it caught my eye. And then when I saw this one for just $50, and it was in my neighborhood, I just had to, I picked that up, and it's so gorgeous. So I've just taken some of my indoor houseplants. This is my spider plant, giving off all kinds of little babies. And this is my Thanksgiving cactus, I want to say. Not a Christmas cactus. I think it's Thanksgiving cactus. Up there, I picked up a couple little pumpkins and put them sporadically here. This is Mexican heather. I just really honestly had gotten this on clearance and didn't plant it anywhere, and just thought, well, I'm just going to put it here. This area does get some full-blown sun, but only like 1 hour of it, and then it's in the shade the rest of the day. So this is probably not enough sun for Mexican heather, but it still looks pretty there. And then I have lots of hydrangea babies that I have grown from my endless summer hydrangeas that are in my side yard. I have a bunch of babies from those. So there's one right there. There's another one right here. And then there's another one right here. So I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to be putting those. I have to make up my mind. I may give them away. I may put them places. We'll see. I have a fiddle leaf fig here, and then let's see, I have some vinca. Again, I just had picked these up on clearance for $1 and didn't know what to do with them, so I just potted them up and put them there. They're not super happy there. It is not enough sun, but it just is what it is. And then I have some coleus that is growing here, which is so pretty. Y'all, a lot of you say to cut these blooms off, but I really like them, and I'm just not. I'm a tired gardener right now. I'm not going to be deadheading these blooms all the time. So I think they're beautiful with the blooms, to be honest. So I'm just going to keep them there, and I love them. And then I just wanted to show you a little bit of the fall decor that I had. This is a pumpkin pillow that I crocheted on my own. I have another planter here, but I'm thinking about putting my 3-tier pumpkin thing on top of this and just pulling these coleus out. This, whatever I plant here, it does not do well. It's just 100% shade, and it's honestly not even enough light for a houseplant, I don't think. So I'm gonna probably pop the pumpkins there, and I'll have this cute little planter with 3 tiers of pumpkins on it, and I think that will be really cute. But for now, that's what's gonna happen. And then I have this cute little rug for fall that I got from Hobby Lobby. So that is pretty much all of what I have on my front porch. Okay, so moving on to my backyard, these are my full sun containers, and let's just say it, they are tired. And they're tired because we just aren't getting a break in the temperatures. We have maybe one nice week in the beginning of I don't know, maybe the end of August. I don't know anymore. We got some rain a little bit finally after like a month and a half, but then it got hot again. And so tomorrow is the first day of fall. Hi, Chloe. That's our little backyard cat. Tomorrow is the first day of fall. You'll probably actually see this after the first day of fall, but that's, you know, how it goes. And it's been in the upper 90s, you know, feels like temperatures in the 100s for a couple weeks now. So we are getting like, you know, Texas is like this, y'all. It says, oh, here's some fall weather, and oh yeah, don't forget, it's still summer. And then next week is going to cool down. But that, like, last couple weeks of these high 90s temperatures, you can see my zinnias. These are, I think, giant double yellow or giant canary yellow zinnias. They're just done. They're ready to be pulled, honestly. So let's start with this one. This is actually maybe my best looking container right now, and it is lantana. Absolutely beautiful. Lantana does love the heat, but I've had these lantana have struggled a bit, this leaf curl, and whenever it gets hot, that's what this lantana does. I had a lantana last year that was different, and it was just, it thrived no matter what the weather was and never had leaf curl. So this is interesting to me. Whenever it's hot, I get the leaf curl with the lantana. But anyway, there's that. And then this is a beautiful pink verbena that's blooming for me right now. You can see it was really in full bloom a couple weeks ago. There's a lot of spent blooms there that could be deadheaded. But again, the plants are tired. I'm tired. I'm not going to be deadheading to try to get new flowers, honestly, at this point. So it's just going to have to do what it's going to do. But those are absolutely beautiful blooms. And then I also have 3 vinca plants in here, and they're trying, but the lantana has kind of taken over, and I think 2 out of the 3 vinca actually died in here. So this is the lone survivor in this one. I have another container that's exactly like this. I'll show it to you in just a second. Over here, I have a crepe myrtle baby seedling that's 1 year old. It looks like I really need to go in. Our neighborhood is ridden with crepe myrtle bark scale. Like, all of the crepe myrtles in our neighborhood have it. My next door neighbor's crepe myrtle has it really, 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 really bad. And so this little seedling has succumbed to crepe myrtle bark scale. I scrubbed it down and sprayed it with neem oil, I think twice, but it's just not worth it. Honestly, I don't really want a full-grown crepe myrtle. I was doing this just to see if I could get a seedling to grow that started in my garden. I put it in a pot, and it's 1 year old, and it has purple flowers, but it's, for me, this like nuisance of crepe myrtle bark scale and the maintenance that is required to maintain that, it's just not worth it. I'm so sorry, but I love crepe myrtles. I love them. I love them. They're all over Texas, but it's not worth the effort for me. Like, it feels like a constant effort if you're trying to have a crepe myrtle that doesn't have bark scale in our neighborhood, because it's a mite, or it's a scale, I'm sorry, that goes in the wind and infects plus all of the crepe myrtles that are in the same neighborhood. So it's frustrating. I love them. I want to grow them, but not to this extent. So that's probably going to die. That's probably going to go. Another one that's going to go is this. Like I just said, this is the giant double or giant canary yellow. This has been my most sturdy zinnia that I've ever grown. A lot of them are very tall like this. Gosh, goodness gracious. So granted, it's up like in a container, but this is taller than I am. Now that's not saying much. I am only 5 foot tall, but it's probably a 4 foot tall stalk easily, and it's so incredibly sturdy. They don't flop. Whereas all of my other zinnias that I've grown, you know, I've grown giant California zinnias, I've grown the giant cactus flower zinnias now. Let's see, even my Thumbelina zinnias that were 3.5 feet tall last year. Yes, my Thumbelina zinnias were 3.5 feet tall last year, but they even flopped a little bit. This has been a very sturdy zinnia, so I will keep that in mind. I've kept lots of seeds for that. So that's good to note. I also have vinca that's underplanted there, and you know, it hasn't done extremely well. Another plant that is just so tired and not doing extremely well is my summer carnival hibiscus. I feel like this plant has struggled from the moment that I got it. I got it almost exactly a year ago, last October, and as I planted it in the landscape, almost as soon as I planted it, it defoliated and it died, or it felt like it died. Then it surprisingly, you know, I dug it up because I thought it was dead. I put it in a pot just in case it wasn't dead. And then lo and behold, it came back to life very, very, very late in the season. And then, you know, for a very short time, it was absolutely beautiful. Like you see all of this new growth. The new growth is gorgeous, but it struggled all summer long. All summer long. It has just done some, I know that's probably, I don't even know anymore. It looks like it could be aphids, but I don't, what do you guys think that is? Because it's not aphids. It's not an alive bug. It's like a black thing, black spots on the bottom. I have no idea. But it's going into dormancy, and I think it's the heat. I don't know. I don't know. I do want to plant this back into the landscape and try that out. Give it one more try in the landscape. I think it will do a lot better. And then if it still struggles, then it's going to go. As beautiful as this variegated foliage is, it's just, I don't want a plant that's going to be constantly struggling. So here is my strawberry planter, and it's doing well. It struggles in the heat. So you can see like it gets kind of this way when it gets super, super hot, which it has been in the last couple weeks. Oh no, this one fell over. So my strawberry plant is putting out a ton of babies right now. So I'm just trying to like catch all of them and make some more babies to share with others that might want them. The babies will survive through our winters, even if you keep it outside. And so I have a lot of strawberry babies right now. So if you're local and you want one, let me know. And then this container is purslane, wild purslane. It was growing as a weed, and I had this extra container, and it has garden dirt in it because I took it out for another hole, and I just thought, oh, let's plop all the purslane that I find. I'll just plop it in here because it is kind of such a cool little plant. Now, wild purslane, the flowers do not get big at all. These will be yellow when they pop out. There's no current like actual flowers out, but it is kind of a really cool plant and so incredibly tough, and that doesn't get watered. It's not hooked up to irrigation. It might get some overspray of like me giving the garden an additional drink of water, but that's it. And actually, look, here's a baby purslane that's growing in this pot. And this is my rosemary. This is another rockstar plant. It is not hooked up to irrigation. Used to be hooked up to irrigation, but getting super consistent water, it just doesn't like that. And so I took it off. And then when I see it starting to like brown, and looks sad, then I'll water it. But otherwise, it doesn't get watered, and it's beautiful. I've had this for a couple of years. It survives our winters, all of the things. So, oh, and then all you got to do is rub your fingers on it. Look at Chloe. Rub your fingers around it, and then the air fills with the smell of rosemary. It's just, oh, it's such an aromatic plant. It's so beautiful. I love it. And here is one of my favorite containers ever. This is my desert rose. Right now, it's not like in full bloom. I did notice with some heat that we got some blooms over here, but it's oh look, actually I think I'm getting some buds over here. Is there anything else? Oh, I think this flower just fell. No, it didn't. Okay, good. Do I see any other buds anywhere? No, I do see it. Oh, yep. See, here's a bud right there. So it's starting to come back into bloom now that the nights are getting a little bit cooler. But this is the fun thing about September desert rose. I have just one seed pod this year. This started growing, oh goodness, maybe 2 months ago, at least, actually. And one of the seed pods has popped open. So if I wanted to, I could. This one is not ready though. This side of the seed pod is just not quite ready. I have rubber bands around them because, as you can see, like, I hope it focuses on that, it will split open and it's filled with the seeds, and the seeds have, oh, I forget the technical name. The technical name for these little wispy things that carry it through the wind, and you will lose these seeds if you don't have it. You know, a lot of people put wire around it, or you know, a sock to catch all of the seeds when it pops open. I just use, my daughter has these rubber bands, and so I have hundreds of these on hand all of the time, and it's just really easy for me to put these around there and catch it. So if I wanted to, I could just cut this off and harvest these seeds. I think I might wait for this one to pop open to see if, you know, I can get a little bit more viability. But look, ooh, you can actually see the seed in there. That's pretty cool. So yeah, desert rose, such a fun plant, one of my favorite plants. I will be taking this in when temperatures dip into the 40s. It goes inside my house, and then I overwinter it under grow lights in my house and put it back out when the temperatures consistently stay above 50. So, but I love this plant in full bloom. It's just absolutely spectacular, and it's so fun how it gives me seed pods every year and new seeds, and I'll show you some babies in just a minute. Moving on, this is my herb planter, and oh, look at that lizard, y'all. He's like, it looks like one of the little dead blooms, but it was an actual lizard. Where did he go? Oh well. But anyway, the blooms that you see, this is my apple mint. It was so fun to see it bloom. I love apple mint now, y'all. I think spearmint does the same thing, but I did not know that it bloomed. Look, there's that lizard on this little light, the solar light. Anyway, it's just a fantastic plant. It's, like I said, lots of these plants are tired, and as am I as a gardener this year, but I have lots of herbs growing. So I told you about the apple mint. This one is peppermint, and goodness, this is vigorous. This peppermint was planted here, one peppermint plant, and then it started coming up through here. There's a strawberry plant here, and that's what's supposed to be on the top, but there's peppermint everywhere up here now. It's coming up everywhere in all of the holes. It's spreading everywhere in this herb planter. Yeah, and then let's see. This is another apple mint. Yes. How did my apple mint? Oh, that's right. There was a cutting that I put over there. So this is a cutting that rooted itself in another hole. This is lemon thyme. Fantastic plant. I've been using this along with this plant, which is oregano. This is oregano over here. It would be huge if I wasn't like cutting it all the time, because I'm using oregano, lemon thyme, and There's another plant over here, tricolor sage, in like my spaghetti sauces and chicken and all of the things. So I've really cut these plants a lot, and then they just keep growing and growing and growing. But that's oregano. I had tricolor sage over here, not doing very well. So I haven't been able to harvest a whole lot of that. I love that plant. I may put it in the landscape next year if I find it, because it's so gorgeous. And I want to see how it does in the landscape. And then I have dill and fennel over here, and I planted those for the swallowtail butterflies because it is a host plant. I did get a couple caterpillars, but again, this is something I kind of want to plant in the landscape next year somewhere, plop it in a space and see how that does, because I want more and more caterpillars. So yeah. All right, I had to go help my husband with something, and now that I've come out, I am starting to lose my shade. The sun is coming up. I apologize for that, but we're almost done with this portion. So right here, I just wanted to point out underneath this apple mint that's trying to take over. This is blue agave, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I got it for free from a neighbor who had a pup. Y'all just be careful with this plant. Look at that needle. Oh my goodness, it's crazy. But a couple times I've tried to like reach into the garden from over here. Don't do that, because you're gonna get met with this huge needle right there. But absolutely love it. I do leave it out in the winter. I do not have to take it in to overwinter it, and it does just fine. And then moving on to this, look at those lovelies. This is, again, the same container that I showed you in the beginning. The lantana here just never really super took off the way that the other one did. And so the vinca was able to kind of take over a little bit more. And that's what you're seeing here. And then I just have a little bit of blooms on my verbena right now. But anyway, so that's what this container is. It doesn't look as great as the other one. It's just so interesting how different containers do differently, and which plants end up being stronger than other plants. So yeah, there's verbena, vinca, and lantana, and that looks gorgeous. Coming over here, this is my hosta container garden. Again, you know, you can see that the hosta are a little bit sad, but let me tell you, this is the first year. This was like a total experiment to try and see if I could grow hosta. Here's something growing in there. Goodness gracious. Here in Texas, because it gets so very hot, I wasn't sure if I could even grow hosta and get them to, you know, thrive. I was thinking that the whole plant was going to look like this by the end of the season, to be quite honest, but I have new growth. I have growth that is not really all that burnt. It's just done amazing, really, truly. And this is an all shade area. This gets very, very, very little sun, less than an hour, I would say, and a little bit of dappled sun in like at 7 p.m. But look at that, it's putting on some new growth, and it's tired. Hostas do get this way, but I am shocked that in Texas I can grow big hosta like this and still kind of enjoy them towards the end of the season. They have done very, very well. I'm super happy about that. All right, so over here, these are all of the full sun plants that I'm kind of babying right now. This is like my nursery table. Like, I make sure that they get watered every day, things like that. Some things are just up here to be up here because I haven't been able to plant them. But this is one of my baby desert rose. This guy is a year old, a little over a year old, and doing pretty well. I guess for being a year old, I would have expected it to be a little bit bigger, but I will say this, it kind of died in the wintertime. I overwatered it while I overwintered it, and the roots completely died. I dried out the stub for like 2 weeks outside of soil. I dried it all out because it was mush. It was mushy right there, and it came back to life, y'all. It grew new roots, and here it is, just alive and green and well. So I think that was definitely a setback for it. It would be gummy. Nope. there's my puppy. It would be probably bigger had it not had a setback during the winter time of being overwatered. And then these two are new seedlings for this year, growing since the spring, and they're doing lovely. I'm probably gonna, when I bring these in, I will repot these into a little bit bigger of a pot, but they're just doing fantastic. And I'll try more seed. Oh, hi, Chloe. Okay, Chloe, get down. I just have, so this is Super Bina Peachy Keen. These were growing in my front planters and I thought they had completely died, but then they started growing like from the base. And so I popped them in pots because I do want to, this is about the time that I'm going to find some spot in my landscape once we get cooler temperatures next week. I'm going to find a spot in my landscape and try to get these guys established. They're a little bit marginal here. But I think zone 8, you should be good overwintering them as long as we don't have an extremely cold winter, which we're not supposed to. It's supposed to be La Nina this winter, which is above average temperatures. So I'm going to see if I can get these guys to come back next year. We'll see. And then this is a baby Coreopsis, and this is a baby Coreopsis. They were taken from cuttings earlier in the season. And this is an Echinacea that was on clearance, and I thought I killed it because I forgot to water this guy. It wasn't here, it was in my front. And anyway, the whole thing died back, but then it started growing back. So I've got it here to remind myself not to forget to water it. And then these guys are some of my baby strawberries that are actually rooted. The other ones are still connected to the mother plant that you saw before. They're still getting their nutrients and water and things from the mother plant. These have been going for some time and already have root systems, and they've been cut off. Well, actually this one's growing another baby. See, this baby's growing a baby, and so this one's connected to this one, but this one is rooted in, and that's happening a couple different times over here. So there you have that. And then this one, honestly, it's just a Scaevola that I picked up on clearance. I don't remember, it was like $2, and I just never planted it, and so I'm gonna water it, but it's just not really doing anything right now. All right, so moving on to my succulent little container garden. Chloe was so cute. She was just pushing on this and making it go. That is adorable. Hi, sweet girl. Okay, so this is the cutest little planter. It's just a little bit tricky to get things to grow in here. So these are hens and chicks. And honestly, yeah, look at that. That's like a new little chick on the side there. That bright green growth is a new one. And this one's doing pretty well, but some of them are not. Just, you know, I don't, it's hard. Me and succulents, we have a hard time because I'm either not watering them enough or I'm watering them too much. It's hard to find that middle ground for me, especially when they're in a container. But anyway, they're actually doing decently, and these should overwinter for me. So that does perfectly right there. I love that cute little Ferris wheel. And then over here is my Limelight Hydrangea. And I'll just get this view for you because of the sun right behind that. This is a first year Limelight. I grew this from a cutting last year. It grew its root system, and then now it has like bloomed and everything for me this year. And yes, the blooms are burnt. Y'all, that's just what happens when you have like months of 100-degree temperatures and it doesn't cool down at night. The blooms burn. But I've got new blooms coming on it. This plant is a rock star. This location is gold for Limelight Hydrangeas. This is where I grow my cuttings in the thing next to it. I'll show you in a second. And whenever I have Limelight Hydrangeas in this location, they thrive. And let's see, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research. It's 9:30 in the morning and still shaded, and then the sun is coming up right over here. So this is facing the east. And then you know, it gets full sun during the day because nothing's above us, and then, you know, over here the sun barely comes in through there. So maybe 6 hours of sun, maybe, and it gets midday, but they just love it right here in this location. Another thing I wanted to tell y'all, that, you know, this is a full-on plant. I have lots of branching coming out here. I'm gonna get ready to shape this plant in the late winter, cut it back, things like that. And earlier I noticed, earlier on this season, it's got one really strong stem that goes straight up and into a big old panicle. And this, I think I'm going to tree form it. This is just way too perfect. It's just growing perfectly. And if I cut everything down to the base except this one, you know, stem that's growing straight up and is super, super sturdy, then it will become a tree form standard hydrangea. And these things are hundreds of dollars when you buy them in the nurseries, but I'm here to tell you that you could grow them yourselves from baby limelights. If you have the right plant. Like, this plant is just perfect. I didn't have a plan to do another tree form. I have a tree form hydrangea already, but since this plant was free for me, I grew it from a cutting and it's already doing this on its own. That's exactly what's going to happen. And so next year, all I will have is this one stem, and then all of these nodes up here, I will keep 4 to 6 branches on these top nodes that will come out and grow next year. And so I will just have like 4 to 6 branches coming out with blooms on them, and then the next year will be more, and then the next year will be more. But that's how you do a tree form limelight hydrangea. It's really quite simple, y'all. So that's super fun. And then this is the container that I tend to grow all of my limelight cuttings in this year. These are baby or little lime hydrangeas, and I only had one cutting that actually took, and it's that one right there. But it's nice and healthy and strong, and it's growing its root system this year. And so next year I will have a baby limelight hydrangea, which I think I might be losing my big limelight or little lime hydrangea, so it may replace that. I don't know. And then I just grow fun seedlings in here as well. And so I've got zinnias. I'll show these to you. They're done, but these are so sweet. Chinese forget-me-nots. And I planted these seedlings like in the spring, but they didn't really start blooming until this last like month or two, and it just keeps growing new little stalks to bloom. There's one that's kind of spent, and then here's another one that's kind of spent. I just love this. I love these. I get them from the Dollar Tree, the little seeds, and I just scatter them in here and they do really good. But I've got zinnia seedlings popping up. I've got cosmos seedlings popping up, which I did not grow cosmos this year. So that's kind of interesting. Those would be from last year or from my neighbor's cosmos. My neighbor has cosmos as well, so maybe it's a seedling from there. But yeah, and then there's, what is that actually? I'm not sure what that seedling is. But anyway, some fun little seedlings there. And then as you can see, I don't know, the sun is not great, but these are done zinnias. These are purple, giant purple zinnias. Super leggy, super floppy, not a big fan of them. I didn't save a whole lot of seeds from these, although they are pretty. It's just they're not my favorite zinnias, and they're about ready to go. And then moving on over here, I have a container that I absolutely love, is foxtail fern. There's 3 or 4 of them in here. I overwintered them last year, and I will never overwinter this plant again because it's so messy. All of these little things fall off in your house, and so I don't recommend that. A lot of people here in North Texas say that these will survive the winters. They don't where I am. I've known some people to overwinter foxtail ferns maybe once, and then that's it. Like, it has to be a very warm winter for them to be able to survive, but they are so beautiful. I love the texture that they bring. And then I also have a tricolor sweet potato vine, and that's doing really, really well. I've been able to take some cuttings of this and spread it elsewhere in other containers in the front, and it's just draping down, and it's absolutely beautiful. So there you go. And thank you so much for watching my September 2024 container garden tour. It's pretty long. I do have a lot of containers, I'm realizing, but they're so fun. I feel like it's just a time of experimentation for my containers, and I'm loving all of it, and just looks so amazing here in September. And I thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, everybody. Bye-bye.